Hey everyone, Matt here from Doxa Running, and today we're going to do a 100-mile review of the Saucony Hurricane 25. So this is Saucony's premium stability shoe. It's been around for some time. It disappeared for a while, and we were afraid that we might lose it because the Saucony Hurricane 22, 23 were actually really solid. 24 was an interesting shoe. It kind of took the super maximal thing to a new level and was really wide platform, a little bit clunky and a little heavy. And version 25 came as a surprise as really pushed into Saucony's unique space in this market, being one of the few super shoes that has a super foam, but it dropped a lot of weight and it's one of the lightest in its category, which is not common for a premium stability shoe. I kept it on my feet. There's some things that worked for me, some things that didn't, but I was really curious to see how it did over some decent miles. And I have to say, it's actually held up really well. Outsole's still intact. There's a lot of things about the ride that have stayed very consistent, which is surprising. But instead of rambling about that, let's talk about what exactly has happened with this shoe over 100 miles. So hopefully, if you're interested in this shoe, you can get a little bit more long-term review and maybe make some decisions for yourself about whether this shoe may or may not work for you. As always, we're going to start off with specs in my men's size 10. So this is coming in at 10.6 ounces or about 300 grams. And again, my men's size 10. The stack height is coming in at 38 millimeters in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop, although it feels much taller than that. It is clearly in that more maximal category. And it might look a little taller just because the sidewalls are so high. But in terms of the ride, what makes this shoe so unique in today's market, and it's amazing, it's been so slow to get to this point, it's one of the few stability shoes that actually has a super foam. The other two major ones that truly have this is going to be the Saucony Tempest, which the Tempest 2 has been fairly disappointing. I'm just going to say that, where even though it's got power on, it's firm, it's overly narrow, and it hasn't been as light as I think it should be. So that's an option, but not really. And then the Adidas Supernova Solution 2 has actually been a surprisingly simple shoe that, yeah, technically has a super foam. It's more of a mix, and somebody can confirm that or not. But it's a nice, simpler shoe. It's been on the top of my list for this year because it's got a more simple platform, but it's a great ride. A little more mild stability, but this is the only premium stability shoe that really has super foam for the moment. There are some that may be coming that I haven't gotten tested yet, but it's been an interesting shoe in this regard. It's also really interesting for how it does stability. It does have a kind of post-like design, but a lot of it's still based on where Saucony's doing kind of this platform, this center path technology where you've got the softer foam in the middle and then the EVA foam on the outside, and more of it on the medial side, creating this post almost like wedge feeling that's mostly in the midfoot, and as you go further, it's more of a neutral ride. And the fact, this is the challenge with creating stability shoes with super foams that are soft, is that this shoe is not a high-level stability shoe. It's more mild to moderate because, yes, there are some stable mechanisms. It does stable neutral actually quite well, where it's got the lot of medial sole flare, especially in the heel. There's a wider, straighter last here. There's some sidewalls that, again, aren't as effective just because the midsole is so soft, but it's still there and does a decent job. But because it's so soft, those people that have hip instabilities, you're going to struggle with this shoe. I really like how it feels on foot. I really like that it's got just gentle heel stability. I wish there was a little bit more forefoot stability, but it is what it is. And then some mild sidewalls and a kind of a nice rockered ride, especially heel bevel's much better than last time that we'll talk about in a second. But it's very soft, and it's really soft. It can get responsive just because of the lighter weight if you pick up the pace a little bit, but it's tuned more for being really soft and cushioned underfoot, which is nice because there's not a lot of stability shoes like that, but there's also a reason there aren't, because again, it just makes it a little less stable. So those that want mild stability, especially in the heel, but want a softer, a little bit bouncier ride, this is going to be one of the few stability shoes that has that and can do that over the long miles. But if you want a shoe that's really stable and responsive, this isn't going to be the option just because you've got to have good hip stability because it is so soft, and that's going to be one of the trade-offs. The ride is fairly rockered in this shoe. It's not the stiffest. There is some flexibility that does develop over time. So if you have toe mobility issues, you need a stiff rocker, this is not going to work. It does roll. The heel bevel is so much better than the last version, which honestly sucked, to be honest. It's a little bit more posterior lateral, and then the other part is that there's so much more softer power on this side that it does collapse really nicely. So much smoother heel transition, and that's only gotten better with time. Not a clunky ride in the rear foot. It's just not the fastest ride because it's not very snappy, and the foam, again, is tuned to be a little softer. And it stayed like that. It was really soft in the beginning, and after 100 miles, it's really held that. It has not firmed up the way the Endorphin Elite firmed up a little bit, but it's still, this is similar. It's going to be a soft ride, and it's going to hold that for a really long period, which again is because the foam is resilient and holds that structure over time. So stay soft. is soft. Just know that's something you're gonna have to deal with if you want that kind of thing. The durability has been really great. So midsole durability is holding up super well. Outsole durability is also holding up really, really well. So 100 miles, I really thought I was gonna tear off this piece. It did not tear off, and it's held up very well. There's only some mild kind of like roughage up through here, but outside of that, it's done well. The outsole rubber grips decently. It's not the greatest shoe, and I certainly would not use this on trail just because this exposed stuff is going to get ripped to pieces because they're exposed soft power on PB. But outside of that, on most road stuff, it's going to do absolutely fine. Just keep it to smoother surfaces. But it's held up. No matter how much I hammer the shoe into the ground, it does really, really well. It's not the most versatile ride. Again, going to be mostly for road. It doesn't pick up the pace that well. It's a bigger shoe. It's got bounce, but like I said, that midsole is tuned specifically for easier runs and longer runs. It handles that stuff very, very well. I've had a few people I've suggested this to, and they take it on ultra marathon type efforts, and they say if it's held up really well. That's not something that I do. I push a stroller. I'm not going to run an ultra marathon with the stroller, but it can hold up its abilities over long runs. And when I have been able to use it for long runs, it keeps that really nicely. So definitely slower shoe, more easy pace shoe, can pick up the pace a teeny bit, but really not meant to go fast. And that, again, is what the purpose of it is. From a fit perspective, there's a little bit of a conundrum here. It does actually fit a little bit wider in the forefoot. It's not anatomic, it still tapers, but the volume is very low in the forefoot. Midfoot heel, it starts to open up and actually snugs up in the heel. There's a lot of padding here, very stiff heel counter, which can be a little irritating. For some people, it's lower than expected, so it didn't bother me as much as I was expecting, but just be careful with that. But it's got an interesting shape just because it's so low volume up here, it doesn't feel as wide as it actually is. So those people with norm width or narrow feet, the low volume actually might work for you as it narrows up into the heel and midfoot. The tongue is really nice and gusset. It's a teeny bit thick, but people that need a really, really wide fit, this may not be enough just because the volume is so low. But fortunately, over a run, it disappears and it actually stretches really nicely. Over the 100 miles, though, there's no wear on the upper. It's held up really, really well. And this fit hasn't really changed. It stayed to that. It hasn't opened up anymore. So just know you're going to get a really consistent ride and fit with this shoe, which is not super common. A lot of shoes change. This is held up really, really well. And again, it's going to match those people that need mild heel stability, mild to moderate, and they're okay with a really soft ride, which is going to offset some people that need a little more stability in their hip area. So just know that it's a unique shoe that has a much better bevel than previous, and it's going to work for those slower and easier miles. So curious to know if anybody else has tried this shoe. This is one of those sleeper shoes that doesn't always get a lot of attention. I've really enjoyed many different versions of it. I wish we'd get a little bit more snappier, but I understand this is meant as a daily training shoe, and I will have to sit there and hope that the Saucony Tempest 3 can really turn things around, or we can see some stuff from some other people. But in the meantime, I really want to know, what are your thoughts on this shoe? What do you think about having a super foam and a stability shoe? Is that working for you? Is that not? Have you tried this shoe? Do you like it? Do you not? What do you experience with the durability? Please leave your thoughts below, and please leave thoughts if you disagree with me. Please do so, and please be nice, right? I'm trying to do this on my own time and trying to share stuff, busy person, so any kind of stuff, let's have some good communication. But if you disagree, please put that stuff up there, because it's gonna help other people find stuff that helps educate them, because that's what we're all about. We're not trying to sell you stuff. We don't take payment for any companies for reviewing this stuff. We refuse that. Nobody gets to influence what we're gonna say, because we wanna help you make better decisions about what you put on your feet, because our goal is to educate you, help you learn what works best for you, and help keep you injury free, because running is supposed to be a simple sport, and we want you to just be able to put a shoe on and go enjoy your run.